something like this? Would you advocate? To that technology. It has to be coupled. Redefine. Or alter that. Redefined. Access. Technology. Technology. Custody.
Good morning. Oh, there's Jarrett. I recognize, always count on Jarrett. Jarrett here and Debbie Ellen at home. So Jarrett, would you have approval of the minutes?
Did we open the meeting yet?
I'm calling the meeting. Wait a second. Roll call. I got ahead of myself again.
Get excited.
Allen?
Allen present. Good morning, everyone.
Brown?
Brown here.
Franz? Copey?
Copey is present.
Leonard? Sanchez?
Here.
Kenyon?
Here.
Shepro.
Now we'll step back in line and have the approval of the minutes. Mr. Sanchez would move. and
Brown
Mr.
seconds.
Brown will second. Is there discussion? Seeing none, would you call the question?
Brown,
Yes.
Franz, Copy,
Copy, yes.
Leonard, Sanchez,
Yes.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Passes.
And I see no one has signed up for public comment. Well, they're a little loud in the hallway, huh?
Yeah.
They carried that out in the hallway. There's people concerned with the elections. Okay. I called Steve Arnold to ask him to bring a prize. I wanted him to bring a pumpkin. But he said he was not coming because he's going to DeKalb to clear up a title for that truck that we raffled off. That raffle was very interesting.
Who won it?
Somebody from Batavia named Mike somebody, and I wrote it down, but
Really?
I never remember where I wrote it. He was there at the drawing and people bought tickets right up until we spun it.
Was it a good fundraiser?
Oh, yes.
Good.
And that I'd say Faye's Barbecue was a big help. The people were in line for that and they'd get out of the car and come over and buy tickets. Steve and Joe White are busy trying to get another vintage truck, which they think is the way to go.
Yeah.
So there won't be any, unless, did he send anything? Mr. Van Kerkhoff? Did Arnold say you anything?
Just said he wouldn't be here today.
That's it? He just dropped the ball. Okay, I'll tell you that the Farm Bureau is selling mums and pumpkins. And I think that's all in the parking lot to raise money for our scholarship program. And let's see what else is. Okay, I can't think of anything else. I should have had time to devote to this. Oh, this is National Agricultural Safety Week. And it started in 1944. And I will tell you what the heck. 23 people per 100,000 farmers die in accidents. And the main cause of them is fatigue, working alone, and not having, Illinois is the leader in grain bin drownings. Once you get in the grain, the more you fight, the lower you go.
Yep. Like quick.
Leave the auger run, you're up there making it work, and the auger's running, nobody's there to help you. And the fire department they save maybe half of them. But that's why we have Farm Safety Week. Northern Illinois Food Bank, I saw the young lady that was online, there she is.
Hello.
Would you like to make a report?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Cecily Garcia. I am the Marketing Communication Specialist and the Neighbor Outreach Specialist. I live in Lake County, but I do work at the Geneva office. And a little bit about me, I used to be a Vista with the food bank. And this past June, I got promoted to my new position. So now what I focus on is the social media, letting our neighbors know about upcoming distributions throughout our 13 counties, as well as collecting stories from our neighbors that we could share later on with our donors. I just want to share with you that this month is Hunger Action Month, when we raise awareness about hunger in our communities and mobilize to end food insecurity. And there's many ways that you could get involved. We have volunteering opportunities. We also have our new shirts out to purchase on our website. And so it's nice to be here with you and finally meet you all. And thank you for having me.
Does your shirt say hunger?
Yes, my shirt says hunger
Hey,
action.
Hunger action, look at that.
Month. Yeah.
No, here. Nobody should be hunger.
No.
Good. That would be a good prize. If we had an extra shirt for next month, why don't you get us a shirt? We always ask a question, and
Yeah.
then the winner gets the prize.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe you could do that next month.
Yes.
Is there any questions of our food bank people? Presentations, we have a Kane County Community Health Improvement Planning, Stacy Zhang, Community Health Planner.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Stacy Zhang. Can everybody hear me okay?
And I was wondering what you were doing online. You got the benefit of the other committee. Wow, all that knowledge. Now this is where it really happens, Stacy. Food is more important.
I'm going to share my screen here. Hopefully, is everybody seeing my screen? Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Stacy Zhang. I'm the Community Health Planner here at Kane County Health Department. So I'm just going to take some time this morning to talk about our community health assessment and our community health improvement plan, otherwise known as CHA-CHIP. So we did do a series of community health assessments last fall. So I'll just start by talking about that. We use something called the MAP model, which stands for Mobilizing for Action Through Planning and Partnerships. So you can see in the diagram here I circled in yellow where we're currently at in our cycle. So we are in the process of formulating goals and strategies for the current 2021 through 2024 Community Health Improvement Plan. And we have used this model before. We used this back, we started in 2014, and our 2015 priorities in Kane County were behavioral health, chronic disease, and income and education. So you can see on the perimeter here are the 4 different assessments that are done in MAP. So I'll just start. The Forces of Change assessment was done. That assessment uses focus groups. We looked at political, economic, technological, and social forces. And those were the topic areas for each focus group. And we're really looking at how all of those forces impact the health of our community. So we held those focus groups. We did identify some cross-cutting themes there. That was the COVID-19 pandemic. Keep in mind, these assessments were started at the beginning of the fall. So we're looking around this time last year, and things were changing pretty dramatically with COVID at that time. So we also had the K through 12 education during a pandemic. We were facing full remote learning at that time. So that was definitely a big change. Families were facing access to healthcare. We had, let me go ahead and, I think I'm on the wrong side here. So let me just jump back. Okay, so rising poverty and disparities and social unrest. So those were the forces that came out of the Forces of Change assessment. So then our local public health system assessment, that is, we pulled some more information from those focus groups and also did some online surveys. Again, typically these assessments would be done in person and we'd be doing these in a lot of different ways. We were facing, everything was full remote at this point. We also did our community health needs assessment, which was a community survey. And this is where we collected over 1,500 surveys from our community members. We also pulled secondary data for this assessment. And that secondary data comes from outside sources like the CDC, Illinois Department of Public Health. And then finally, we did a community themes and strengths assessment. And that assessment targets our underserved communities. So we held more focus groups here, and we were specifically collecting data from our African American population, our older adults, and our Spanish speaking population. So after we completed all of those assessments, we held a meeting to look at the data, and we ranked the overall health needs. And this is how the ranking results kind of shook out. So again, mental health coming in very high, closely followed by access to health services. And then we had immunizations and infectious disease. That's probably no surprise there given where we were at in the pandemic. Substance abuse and exercise, weight, and nutrition were the top health priorities here. So the focused ranking results, then what we do after we have that prioritization meeting and that data is presented and we rank the priorities, the executive committee met and talked about what we wanted to, did we want to keep those high ranking priorities, and did we think that those were priorities that we could really make a change here in Kane County? So we decided we did want to keep those 4. We did combine mental health and substance abuse that had been combined in the past to create a behavioral health action team. So we kept that. We added an access to health services action team, immunizations and infectious disease, and then exercise, weight, and nutrition. That's actually now being referred to as the NEW, or the new action team, nutrition, exercise, and weight, which is kind of replacing our chronic disease action team and just taking more of a preventative focus. So that is how overall our community health assessment kind of shook out and how we identified our priorities. I know that nutrition is particularly of interest here for this group, so I wanted to dive a little deeper into nutrition. So here you can see for exercise, nutrition, and weight, we had a secondary data score of 1.9. So what that means is the Healthy Communities Institute, which is who we contracted with to do our assessments, uses the scoring tool to determine how the indicators fare compared to other counties in Illinois, or even nationally. So it really gives us an idea of where Kane County is falling compared to our other counties. So again, they're using that secondary data that comes from IDPH, the Illinois Hospital Association, and looking at how we're faring. So a score of 0 would be good, a score of 3 would be bad. So you can see here that there are, Kane is falling behind in some important indicators like the SNAP certified stores. So meaning that there's just not as many available for the population that they're serving. And then also children with low access to a grocery store, farmers market density, fast food restaurant density, grocery store density, and then people with low access to a grocery store. So that was all warning indicators that came out of the secondary data. Now the primary data, which is what we collect through like the community survey, some of the themes were food security, access to healthy foods, poor nutrition, obesity, and the contribution to chronic disease and lack of exercise. I also just want to talk about how we we compared to some of our data that we looked at back in 2018. So this is, again, our 2021 data. 30% of respondents reported worrying about whether their food would run out before they got money to buy more sometime during the last 12 months. So that was up from 2018 compared to 20.2%. And then 24% of respondents reported that there was a time during the past 12 months when the food they bought just did not last and they did not have money to get more. Again, that is up compared to 19% in 2018. And then we continue to see our most food insecure households are with children. So 42% of respondents with children in their home reported some type of food insecurity, which is almost double of without children. So just a couple other points, because of the time, you know, we're living in back in 2020 and here still in 2021, what could be driving some of this food insecurity? We've got reduced incomes, unemployment rose to a record 14.7% during the pandemic, and accelerated inflation. The disruption of food supply chains caused high food price inflation at the retail level. So we definitely saw that even here locally. A lot of our meatpacking plants were affected during the pandemic. And what can we do? Well, Kane County has made nutrition, education, and weight a priority here in Kane County, and we do have an action team. So we're excited to continue our work with these action teams. We are, you know, working on that community health improvement plan. If you're interested, we encourage you to join an action team. That would be great. We want support from our local food pantries. And, you know, we'll just keep supporting those initiatives. But as we write our new community health improvement plan, we want to make sure that we're incorporating this data and really paying attention to social determinants of health and how we can really make the best impact. And I did want to mention we have a virtual symposium coming up, and I'm not sure if I can, let me see if I can share that really quick. Is everyone able to see this flyer? But we are having a building community resilience virtual symposium where we'll talk about our current action teams and how they are working on our new action plans. And Jonathan Shively from Fox Valley Hands of Hope will be presenting Good Grief, Loss in the Midst of the Pandemic. And it should be really interesting. So hopefully you can join us. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Bates, please.
Bates has got a question.
Surprise, surprise. So did you say that 42% of families with children had food insecurity?
Yes.
Is that
42% of households with children have experience some form of food insecurity?
Is that as shocking to you as it is to me? Is this, that seems like emergency levels for a whole community.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I just thought I'd pull that up again. And we do know that the most protection that children receive is being in schools, and that is where they receive, you know, a lot of their food. So there were a lot of programs initiated last year. Some of those are still going on, but some school districts have opted to not participate in those. So I think it's really important that we continue to make sure that, you know, I think being in school and having those programs and food being sent home from the schools are very important. And it's how many children receive their food. So that's something we need to continue to watch through this pandemic.
Thank you. How do we sign up? How do we sign up for the symposium?
So if you go to canehealthcounts.org,
Okay.
you can access that flyer, but I'm going to also drop a link into the chat.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
You.
Jarrett?
Hey, Stacy, thanks for your presentation. My question is, how can board members or members of the public join and take part in the nutrition, exercise, and weight action team?
Yeah, so you can, if you go on to our Cane Health Counts website, you can actually click on a link where it says join an action team, and an email will come to me and I can invite you to the next meeting. And again, this is something right now we're still meeting virtually. We really appreciate the commitment to anyone really, but we like the diversity and having people from multiple backgrounds. So you can send me an email too. You don't have to go to the website. You could always email me and I'll drop my email address in the chat as well.
Thank you.
I live in South Elgin and right next to Elgin, and U46 distributes food at least 2 days a week, and there are no questions asked. You drive up and you can say, I need four things of food, and they give it to you. So I kind of wondering why people can't find food. And I know the food banks are very receptive. In fact, they go out to the neighborhoods to bring food. All the food banks, Northern Illinois and the one in Elgin, feeding Greater Elgin. So I don't know how come people can't find the food. That's my question. What can we do to help them?
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of factors, maybe changes in people's employment status. Maybe they weren't food insecure before and not realizing all of the resources that are out there in the community. You know, just being new to trying to access help. You know, also it is, if you've never had to do that before, there could be, it could be hard, like a pride thing. There could also be some language barriers. So that is something with our action team we look at.
Anybody else have anything? Anybody have anything to add? There's change in diet, Mr. Shepro? His wife is subscribed to the CHA, the food.
Yeah, the box of the week, the vegetable box of the week.
And it's changed. Well, it's changed your health picture, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has changed my health picture, and I'm learning about all of these new agricultural products because I open the box and I have to take a picture and send it to my brother and say, "What is this?" And you know, things that you eat don't necessarily look the same way on your plate as they do when they come out of the ground.
Oh.
Like I discovered last night that you're supposed to soak black-eyed peas before you try to eat them.
All right. Well, this is a learning process.
This is a learning process. Well, yeah, on the food bank, we learned that when you're coming to your canned goods, you don't necessarily believe the expiration date. As a couple of years ago, we decided to clean out our pantry, and I was taking in stuff from the 1990s, canned goods, and they said, "Nope, that's fine. We'll take it." Don't do it with milk or cottage cheese.
No, milk spoils fast. And we had a steak in the freezer that was, my wife said, it says 9/11 on it. And it's like, God, it was awful. You know, it really goes out of things like that, but canned goods are different. Well, thank you, Stacy. Thank you for your presentation. It's very interesting and colorful.
Mr. Chairman, this is Alan. May I delay the meeting with another question?
Is this Debbie Allen?
It is
Yes,
indeed.
I knew I could count on you, Debbie.
Just a scepter watching over your shoulder, right?
Yes.
I have a question about if people can drive to a school and pick up food, can they also walk up with a grocery cart? I don't have experience in how food is distributed at schools, and it's interesting to me. Do kids get backpacks to take home? Does somebody have any information on that?
Mr. Leonard?
Yes, I did want to mention that I have a daughter who's an elementary school teacher, and I don't believe there's any food that they send home with children. However, they do supply all children with breakfast and lunch every day at school.
Maybe you could do that at the county board. You have breakfast and lunch at the county. That'd be nice. There is an effort in this country to do that.
I'd like to share that I'm not sure what specific schools, but I know that we do partner with some schools for our backpack program, which is children are able to take a backpack full of like peanut butter and like canned chicken and canned tuna for the weekend. And then they return that backpack back to the school on Mondays. And then again, for that following weekend, they get their backpack refilled again with food so that they can have food for the weekend.
I was noticing that since this is the pumpkin time of the year, pumpkin flavored Spam. It might be worth trying, but
No. I just sent from there.
I suppose our dog would eat the excess.
Spam wasn't bad enough before. Huh?
No, Spam is a food staple in Hawaii, young man.
You eat it, but
I'd be glad to live there and live on Spam. Are there any other questions, or should we move on?
I'm recalling a long time ago, I think during the Reagan administration, when I believe the school lunch program classified ketchup as a vegetable.
What?
Ketchup.
They tried that, but they didn't get away with it.
Didn't work. Yeah.
Well, our government
Thank
tries
goodness.
a lot of things
Yes.
to try and make it work. Regenerative Agricultural Ideas Network, Matt Tansley.
Yes, thank you.
Well, that's a pretty big term, regenerative.
It is.
Yeah, look
It's
at the chickens.
an important topic. So this is a topic that I touched on a little bit back during the July committee meeting. And at the time I was sharing some information about an organization called the Pasture Project, and they focus on promoting regenerative agriculture and building knowledge and sharing that with farmers so they can implement those practices on their farms and do things that are more sustainable and help to build the quality of the soil on their farms over time. And that's really what they're focused on. And I mentioned a couple of resource opportunities that they were promoting, one of which is a mini grant program. So they have a mini grant for individual farmers through their scholarship program, but they also have another mini grant that's available for organizations that promote agriculture and sharing information. So we applied for that mini grant, and I'm happy to share that we were awarded a grant that we'll be using to promote or to develop and implement a field day program. So it's going to be an on-farm training that we put together, or that we're putting together in partnership with the Forest Preserve District. And so it's going to be a demonstration day, a field day training that's going to be hosted by Allgrass Farms. And the manager there is Cliff McConville, and he's been using different types of regenerative practices on his farms for the last 10 years now. So he's really kind of leading this type of grazing and livestock management in Kane County. And so he's going to be giving an on-farm presentation and sharing with any farmer that wants to sign up for this program to learn about the types of grazing practices that he's been using to manage his livestock.
When is the date?
We haven't picked the date yet, but we're looking to do this in late October. So we'll be
cold.
it will be a little bit colder, yes. But we're gonna get the word out on that as soon as we iron that out.
Mr. McConnell sells unpasteurized milk.
That is
People
correct.
call me all the time and I tell them, call All Grass Farms. So they can go up there and get their unpasteurized milk.
Yep, that and the grass-fed beef are his two largest sources of farm income. So just a little bit of more context as to why this is something that we're looking to promote. So we conducted an operators survey earlier this year. And from that, we learned that about 37% of the food growing farmers in the county have some form of livestock operation, which is fairly significant. It was a little bit more than what we might have expected. And we do know from many of these operators that some of them are pursuing organic certification. So they are in tune with certain sustainable practices, but many obviously recognize that there are costs associated with that. And so, for the time being, they see that as something that outweighs, the costs outweigh the benefits for their businesses. So we're kind of taking a more incremental approach with this training day event, just to demonstrate that there are some, sustainable practices and techniques that can be adopted that still make sense for their bottom line and can support and mesh well with their business operations, their farm operations. And we also know from previous surveys as well, we did a needs assessment back in 2019. And one of the key findings from that is that when it comes to trainings and workshops, that farmers generally are more receptive to learning from other farmers. So this is, this really came through. And so we wanted to make sure that, we have, an agricultural expert and a farmer that is going to be leading this type of training. And that's probably going to be the case for, for future trainings and workshops that we organize. So looking at the time frame for this, so we're still, going to continue this month to work on, developing the concept and the planning behind this, and then we'll start promoting the event hopefully by the end of this month and continuing up until the event. So the grant program, so we do have until the end of October to deliver this program. That was one of the terms of the grant. So it is close to the harvest season, and so we recognize that. So there will be a lunch included with the event for any attendees.
Did I hear lunch?
Yes, there will be
free lunch,
there will be
Jared.
lunch.
Yeah, where's T.R. Smith and we have free lunch?
And then following the event, we'll conclude our assessment of the program, taking any feedback that we get from farmers, and we'll be reporting that back to the grant administrators.
Will you video this for those people who miss it and then bring them a bag lunch or something if they miss it?
We could think about that. I hadn't considered that yet, but that's an idea.
Just bring a live chicken back with you.
Mr. Chairman, Alan?
Debbie, speak up.
I can also wait until the presentation is over. I'll wait.
Ooh.
Bates, please.
Bates, would you like to speak up also?
Yes, please. Is there a way that we can attend this training, or is it too technical for mere mortals?
No questions allowed, Mavis.
Well, we do want to make sure
I have
that
the floor, sir. Go ahead.
Well, we do want to make sure that any interested farmers have the opportunity to attend first and foremost.
Okay.
But if it looks like registration is kind of waning toward the event date, we could open that up to, to other interested, community members, stakeholders that would like to attend.
I'd appreciate that very much. Thank you.
people with home gardens come out to our farm to pick up manure to upgrade their gardens. Judge Nolan is about to pick up a couple pickup loads to upgrade his backyard garden.
Oh, I'll put that in the back seat of my Volt.
Some people take it home in bags or buckets. Maybe you should do that, Mavis.
Okay, I'll be there. I'll be there this afternoon. Thank you.
And,
but I would like to, I think this regenerative training would be very interesting. So if there's spaces, please let me know.
Okay, absolutely. And this is just a housekeeping item to go along with it, but we do have a resolution on the agenda which will adjust the Growing for Cane budget. So this just accounts for the new revenue that we're receiving through the grant, and then on the expenditure side of it, reflecting the costs for the instructor fee and some printed materials we'll provide to the attendees, and the lunch and refreshments. And lastly, this is just something I wanted to share that was recently published in the Illinois Farm Bureau's weekly publication. So this is just an article that features the Kane County Juvenile Justice Center program. And it also, there's another program in DuPage County that's connected with the adult jail program, and it's linked with the College of DuPage, where inmates can earn some credit if they participate in this other program that was set up for adults at the DuPage County Jail. So both of these programs are kind of featured as a farm to agricultural learning, career development programs related to the correctional systems in Kane County and in DuPage. So if you get a chance, just feel free to check it out. And that's all I've got.
Are there any questions of Matt?
Mr. Chairman, it's Alan. Now's my opportunity.
Okay.
Matt, is the farm where the class is going to be held, is that at Brunner?
Yes. Yep. It'll be at the Brunner farm. Yes, that's where it will be located.
Very cool. The other question I had was, there was a presentation from a farmer, and I'm sorry I don't remember who it was. And I thought he was talking about these kind of practices. And one of the things I remember him saying was, I knew that my techniques were working because when I saw runoff from the fields, the runoff wasn't brown anymore, it was clear. Do you remember that? What I drew from that was that he was able to hold his soil, hold his nutrients in the fields by virtue of how he moved the crops around and plowed them and so on. And that was a result that he could literally see, and he shared that with us. But I don't know if that was also Brunner, if that was some other farmer. Do you remember what I'm referring to?
I'm afraid I can't place that farmer. If it was, yeah, I know it's been a while since we've had farm guest speakers, but I can look into that and check our meeting records to see if I can find that for you.
It also might have been, Janice did at least one presentation on healthy soil, and it might have been connected with her rather than with you. It gets blurry in my old memory. But it was interesting, and I would think this regenerative, the regenerative forces in operation would be making that kind of thing happen. It's very cool. Thank you.
Mr. Kenyon.
Mr. Sanchez.
Or comment. Unfortunately, I got double booked this morning, so I'm going to have to leave in a few minutes. I'll probably miss the vote for the resolution, but I just want to say I fully support this. Anything regenerative agriculture is the way of the future as far as I'm concerned. And I'm happy to see that this event is going to take place at All Grass Farms. That's up by me. And I've had the raw milk from there. It's really good. If you like whole milk, it tastes pretty similar. It's a little more creamy, but you know it's the real deal. And then they supply food to a local restaurant, Blue Root in West Dundee. And when they had their chicken wings from All Grass, man, that was the best chicken wings I ever had. But their burgers are pretty good. So I guess it's a sales pitch for Blue Root and All Grass Farms. It's just a great way to do farming, really. So I'm happy that they're involved. Thank you for doing this.
Do you want to move the resolution up so we can vote on it? You and Mr. Brown has to leave too. He has time certain. Let's move that resolution up. Resolution to approve the 21 budget adjustment for the growing for cane fund for a farmer field day and training grant.
Sanchez moves.
Would like to move it. Jarrett moves.
Leonard seconds.
Leonard seconds. Discussion. It's really scary. Oh, there's the numbers. It's only $1,000. Gosh. Any discussion? Okay, we're ready to vote.
Brown,
Yes.
Bras, Copey,
Copey, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Allen,
Alan,
Kenyon.
Yes, and Shepherd's here too. Yeah, I'm a yes.
I don't vote.
No what?
I don't vote.
Okay.
Unless-
Oh, man. You are a resident expert too. It's been approved. Now we can move back to clean energy for Kane County Farms. Janice Hill.
Good morning. I would like to talk a little bit about clean energy and agriculture and what's coming up at the federal, state, and local level. At the federal level, the budget reconciliation process is happening right now. It does offer opportunity for investment in clean energy, and we will know if this will happen by the end of the month, by the end of September, and then what the opportunities could be for agriculture. So we will report on this next month if there are some opportunities for agriculture out of that budget reconciliation process. And then regarding the state of Illinois legislation, the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act has been signed into law. It's very focused on jobs and retraining from the coal economy. We'll find out whether or not any of this offers opportunity for agriculture and investigate further once some of the markup to the legislation has been sent out. We do know that it recognizes that that clean energy is a growing area of the economy for the state. And then last, for Kane County and the local economy, staff is submitting a response to a request for proposals that was issued as a challenge opportunity from a consortium of clean energy partners. And our response will be for requests for $1.5 million. And this is a phased challenge, and we will know by the end of October if we've been selected to move forward for the next phase of the challenge. Any questions?
No questions?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Alan?
All right.
Janice, do you want to do a few more words on what this is about? $1.5 million is always appreciated.
Would certainly complement the work that we have already for our farms. $1.5 million for resources to support our farms. All farms would be eligible for supportive work in carbon capture, which would be the connection with the primary connection with clean energy. Of course, we know that we all use energy on all properties, but the primary emphasis would be on accelerating carbon capture on farms of all sizes in all locations within the county. Now, we would probably select a cohort of farms to participate, and then certainly work to select training and supportive experts, as well as reporting and documents and other things like that to support this effort, as well as partners to move forward. Many of the partners that we use regularly, as well as new partners.
Thanks for the effort.
Thank you. Fingers crossed.
Any more questions or comments? When we move into new business, it says discussion of draft renewable energy policy resolution. Is that what, do you have that stated? What do you want to talk about?
Sure. This was brought to the agenda by Tom Copey. Is he on the phone?
Well, there you go.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Great. Do you want to introduce it, Tom? And then I'm happy to add information and for discussion.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As everybody knows, we're in a new paradigm in regards to our answer to the renewable energy mandates. And these questions that will have to be answered probably go through an entire array of committee, perhaps not public health, but or legislative committee. But in the event nuclear power is proposed in the county, then public health would certainly be a key player in analyzing the pros and cons. But nonetheless, we need to come to some sort of an agreement or understanding that probably a comprehensive policy on how we react and create opportunities or our own mandates in regards to the stakeholders in these projects. We're going to need a centralized focus, and that's the idea of my proposition. And who that is or what department that is, that can all be determined. And I'm just hoping to have the discussion, keep the discussion alive, because it's here and now, the issue of renewable energy, and there's a lot of unanswered questions, and of which direction we're going to go. In fact, if you want to consider it, there are really questions that haven't even been asked yet that need to be asked, and that would require some creativity, which I'm looking forward to. At the end of the day, I would hope that we could create for the county our own revenue source through the implementation of renewable energy, and trying to standardize some of our efforts. And so Matt had agreed to entertain this as a discussion purpose under new business, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you very much, Matt. And so here we are, and let's open it up and see what we can come up with. Maybe I'm all wet. Maybe I'm ahead of my time. Maybe I know there's a lot of moving parts already in process, but they don't fall under the same umbrella. So I'm hoping that we could create one venue for the discussion, whether it be energy. And our portion pertains to agriculture because a lot of these big arrays are going to be subject to agriculture lands and impacts on agriculture. And then we have the small farmers that could possibly, 200, let's just do some 200 small farmers could do a gigawatt of electricity. Before you know it, it's a 2,500 acre array that nobody even noticed, and there's one more point that I want to make, and it's very crucial, is that Batavia and Geneva depend on a coal-fired plant. Under the new mandate regulation, they essentially have to shut down. There was no grace period that I am aware of. There's no funding for them to revitalize in a different area. It's over. So as a county, we may need to come to their defense or to be benefactors to the plight that they are now facing. So and that'll come into a discussion in administration. And I brought up the idea of a solar array out on Fabian. So now Fabian wants to be sold by some, and I would like to preserve Fabian, and now that neighborhood needs an alternate source now, and it may be a beautiful arrangement, and or the collection of carbon credits that we could potentially get our senators and our representatives to consider, letting them downsize with time, and just pay the carbon credits like everybody else is allowed to do. But I spoke enough. There's a lot of information, and I hope that we could just engage in discussion and keep it alive and well. Thank you.
Mr. Chapeau, do you have any comments?
If this gets passed out of this committee, where does it go from here? I mean, it sounds like it could wander around through many committees.
Would it go to the Energy Committee? Mr. Van Kerkhoff?
Yeah, I just want to note for the committee that this is not an actionable resolution. It's a memo with potential draft language, so there's no action required by the committee today. I want to thank Mr. Copia. It has sparked a lot of discussion between Director Wolnick and myself. We both have team members working in the area of clean energy and how we can use some of the proven resources that are available to homeowners and translate that into assistance for our farmers, in addition to what we're already doing for permitting and with our Keep Pace program for potential financing of clean energy projects. So it has sparked some good conversation and discussion of what we can do with our existing programs, and then with the new state legislation, and as Janice noted in her discussion, potential new funding and whatever out of Washington, D.C., how we communicate that to our residences, our businesses, and our farms, so they can take advantage of the many things that are coming out. And some of that may be just trying to help consolidate those options and work with the Farm Bureau on workshops, consolidating our information, those kind of things. So Director Welnick and I will continue to work closely with each other and our teams and our other partners in the region, as well as reporting to Ag Committee and Energy and Environmental Committee.
And Mr. Chapeau?
I would comment that I think this is a useful discussion to have. Some of the premise is a little unusual because usually when you talk about something like this, you are directing revenue. And here we're talking about, in effect, directing savings, which aren't coming in, it's money that won't be spent, and therefore presumably could be spent on
So how
something
can we
else.
direct savings?
Well, I mean, it'd be like saying anything you save when you build your roof, you're going to put in the college fund,
Okay.
as opposed to saying
Well,
we're
we
going
have
out.
a college fund. It's a lot of money, I guess.
Mhm.
You have any comments yourself, Mr. Leonard?
I do not.
Something that, I wonder who's getting this unusual feedback.
I think it's Mr. Copey.
Oh, yes, it is. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I had my speaker unmuted, but while I'm on the phone here, yes, Mr. Shepherd brought up a very interesting point. In case in point, is that we just went through this very discussion with Jamie Mosser in regards to savings and how they were going to be allocated. And it may ultimately end up in finance for budgetary purposes, and that's only the logical. It's only the logical direction, but you know, you're the county board. You can do pretty much what you feel is appropriate.
Mr. Chairman, Bates, please.
Is this Bates?
Bates, please.
Okay.
I want to thank Mr. Copey for bringing up this topic. We in the E&E Committee, Energy and Environmental, are always excited when we hear the word renewable energy, and we are here to help move this forward in any way that we can. Thank you.
So you'll talk to Mr. Copey about it.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Is there any other thing to come before the committee?
Unanimous consent to place reports on
Oh, wait
file.
a second. Oh, we can do that, yes. And then Mr. Van Kerkhoff?
I just wanted to note for the committee, as you're aware, the American Rescue Plan Committee has opened up applications for departments to submit projects. And we will be, as we've noted in other previous meetings, putting a proposal in for a agricultural recovery and sustainability fund, which would be funding a number of initiatives, some of which are already have been in place, but we've been trying to slowly implement them with small grants like the one Matt just covered this morning, as well as address concerns and needs that were brought up for the survey when we did the Compeer grants for our local growers. A big value that grant program brought to the county was the survey that they completed to make us aware of their COVID-related challenges and needs. So we will be having a variety of those included in activities to be covered under that fund. So you can look forward to that. And if you want to, if you're on the committee, look for those or advocate those opportunities. The one thing I will note with that as well is that most of the funding that we'd be proposing for this fund would actually be county staff directed activities, but it would be benefit and funding going directly out to the community and to the agricultural businesses that need recovery and sustainability assistance for the future. So with that, that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Allen.
Yes, Ms. Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is interesting to see how these aspects are all coming under various umbrellas. We just need to get the right hands and left hands to be talking to each other. And this committee is also helpful because I think we have some farmers who have already put their toes in the solar water in terms of using some of their non-productive land to get solar arrays out there. So we have a little bit of that going on. And here's Mr. Copey thinking outside the box. If there's a way to help, you know, anytime you can put an array like we are near buildings, that can use the electricity, like 24/7 corrections buildings and sheriff's offices and judicial centers. Anytime you can get electricity kind of homegrown in your own garden so that you don't have to buy it elsewhere, we could get better at this as we think about it. And it's nifty to see various committees coming up with ideas to make that work. Did everyone see an email that someone sent us saying, if you have parking lots that you don't want to dig up and are just sitting there and they're not used every day, you can put in a solar array on those and get on the grid with that solar power. It's just, if some of these ideas are being thrown against the wall and some of them are going to stick, and it's just interesting to see our minds going at it, and Mr. Kirkhoff, your department going at it, and Janice, you're coming at it, and our farmers investing in it. It's that's how it's going to work, is if we come together this way. Thanks, Mr. Copey, also.
All right. Before we adjourn, I'm having a hard time finding a question, but we're going to have a regenerative agricultural program. Where is that going to be held at? Is that a date to be? No, it's a question.
All grass. All grass.
Mavis, I'm going to talk to Farm Bureau and have them reserve a pumpkin for you.
Thank you. I love pumpkins.
All right, do we need a motion to adjourn, Mr. Leonard?
Leonard moves.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're done.
Are they going to put it in my mail?